I mean, listen, Shakur can play, for real. And everybody's got an opinion. In fact, we live in a world of opinionaires. That's what I call them, opinionaires. They're all the shows, a bunch of guys, and a couple of them that have played, but most of them who have an opinion about what something should be when they haven't done it. Those who can do, those who can't talk about those who can. Those who have know what they're talking about. Those who haven't don't. Period. That's
period. Denzel Washington ain't just stepping into this drama. He's blasting the door wide open and marching right up in the critics' faces like he owns the room. With the timing of an Oscar winner and the bite of a knockout punch, he's ripping apart every tired storyline the haters been holding on to. No fake smiles, no polite claps, just raw, surgical truth cutting sharper than a blade. When Denzel starts dropping heat, somebody in the back is instantly regretting they ever opened their mouth.
I really feel
you play varsity.
People need to shut up.
I'm gonna close it out, right? I got my equalizer.
People need to shut up.
They told me I didn't have a lot of time.
August 15th, the movie opens, though. You need to go to the movie. Learn how to do something. Be actually good at something. Yeah. Try that. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now flip the script to the Cleveland Browns. Man, this team just pulled the N.F.L. version of burning down the whole kitchen while trying to boil water. And right in the middle of it, Shedeur Sanders. First, they say he's injured. Then it's conveniently injured. Nah, it's suspiciously injured. The kind of injury where instead of rolling out the cart, the trainers basically pull out a memo from upstairs saying, "We're saving face this season by sitting him down."
And this is now being called sabotage. Cleveland doesn't want him to succeed. Shedeur Sanders has been with the Browns through OTAs, rookie minicamp, and training camp. He knows the playbook, the head coach, the coordinator, and his teammates. And because he only gets one practice with the ones, it's sabotage. You've got to be kidding me. Stop pandering. Stop protecting media. The great ones would consider this an amazing opportunity. Wasn't it Shedeur who called himself legendary?
And just when you thought the Browns couldn't fumble their image any harder, Denzel walks in looking like he's ready to snag another Academy Award. But this time, instead of a heartfelt speech, he's firing off a whole string of roasts so brutal, the Browns front office probably wants to crawl under the stadium seats. So sharp, you can practically hear the haters flinch with every word flying out his mouth. See, Denzel ain't new to this. He knows the playbook cold. He's seen exactly how franchises twist the narrative to sabotage talent when the story doesn't fit the brand they're selling.
I feel about it. Too much talking. Too much talking. Everybody got an opinion. Yeah. Everybody's sitting around getting fat, thinking they know how to do it. Just because you can sit behind a desk and chit-chat doesn't mean you can do a damn thing.
While the Browns PR squad is out here running damage control, trying to spin Shadow's absence as just precautionary, Denzel's serving straight reality checks. He's letting the world know that if common sense was money, these critics would still be broke and begging for change. And here's the kicker. The Browns didn't just sit a quarterback. They benched the best quarterback they've had in years. Then they tried to disguise the whole thing like it's some fragile package, wrapped in bubble wrap, stamped "handle with care," hoping fans won't riot outside the front office.
And this is why it infuriates the Browns when people on social media are like, I'm cutting the game off when Shedeur's off. Shedeur knew his value going in. He knew that people are only going to be watching the Browns because of me. So every time reports come out, every time we as fans support Shedeur and we say, bro, I watched the preseason game until Shedeur got on the field and then I cut that shit off. Every time you do that, the Browns is furious because they know that Shedeur is right. They know that Dion is right. Every time Shedeur is on that field. Every time.
But the truth? Their so-called backup plan looks like it was pulled off the discount rack at a corner store. Fans can see right through it, and Denzel's making sure nobody forgets just how sloppy this whole play really is. Every time some shadow critic jumps online with their tired, he's not proven takes, Denzel shows up like the N.F.L's truth enforcer. He's lurking in the shadows, ready to remind everybody that mediocrity has been Cleveland's true starter for decades. And the way he does it? Man, it's like watching somebody block a punt with one hand while casually sipping a latte with the other. Smooth, ruthless, and impossible to ignore.
I'm so happy with his performance. They saw what they had seen in college at Colorado. A man that understands how to play in pressure situations. very few people would stand up and speak up and say, you know, I was absolutely wrong. He outran the defensive line and got around the corner because people said he couldn't run. Can't run like his dad. Can't no damn body run like his dad. And let me tell you how I know. Stop with all of that now. He holds on to the ball too long. Remember that old stuff coming out? And I said, well, we can switch that and just say he stares down the barrel and make the play. Had pressure all around him. Never took his eyes from up the field. Damn, that was good.
Let's be real. The Browns' entire legacy is built on sketchy quarterback calls, and this move just feels like another corny sequel nobody asked for. It's like when Hollywood tries to reboot a flop movie, except this time the director's cutting the star mid-scene and tossing in some random extra who just learned the script 5 minutes ago. Fans know the plot already. It's a disaster. And when the backlash hits, the Browns dust off their favorite excuse: injuries. Please, this isn't some season-ending break. It's being treated like a paper cut dressed up as a life-or-death emergency.
Shedeur Sanders is going to be bigger than Tim Tebow in terms of how people perceive his star. He will out Tebow because whatever his deficiencies are as a talent, there is no denying he's a star. He will be the greatest N.F.L draft story ever told. His entire story, from Jackson State to Colorado to slipping, whatever you want to call it, falling, slipping, getting pushed, blackballed, sent a message to the 5th round. He had the highest rated preseason game. He had 2 million viewers on the NFL Network. He had the #1 program on broadcast and cable television. Bank of America's stadium's capacity is 75,525. There were 71,205 in attendance.
They're only doing it to shield themselves from the PR storm they already feel brewing. Because let's be honest, if they benched Shadow straight up, the fan base would have gone nuclear. Cleveland fans have lived through decades of draft busts, blown leads, and quarterbacks who couldn't throw a spiral to save their paycheck. Now they're watching the one guy with real star power get sidelined for reasons that don't add up. And Denzel, he's not buying a single word of it. He's basically giving the league a sports version of his training day speech, but this time the message lands crystal clear.
Don't throw them wrists up, because your boy got time today. You see, this is my favorite thing about haters. When lies get disproven, goalposts get the moving. And that's exactly what we're seeing with Shedeur Sanders. You see, a lot of people on draft day...
If you've got beef with Shadow, maybe the real problem is staring back at you in the mirror. And whenever the talking heads start chirping about Shadow not being ready, Denzel times his shots perfectly, dropping verbal haymakers that remind everyone. Talent like this doesn't need babysitting. It just needs a real chance to shine. The Browns are serving Shadow to the bench like it's some 5-star meal on a silver platter, and they really think fans are gonna swallow it. The NFL's seen shady moves before, but this one? It's layered like an onion. This ain't about an injury. It's about optics, plain and simple. It's about keeping fans quiet while sneaking in the quarterback switch the front office wanted from the jump. And you already know the haters are loving it, puffing out their chests online like they just hoisted a Lombardi themselves.
But I'm going to answer this question by saying Shedeur Sanders. And I'm going to tell you why. I think he's being set up to fail. That's right, I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Here we are on national television, right? There's been 11 practices, if I remember correctly. He's been starting against he's been playing against the 3rd unit. He's 4th on the depth chart. And then suddenly you throw him into the start lineup, and he hasn't had any reps with the first team at all. Think about that. So you're just gonna throw him to the wolves like that, huh? I mean, you know, if he had first team snaps in practice, I don't say that, but he doesn't, and then all of a sudden he's starting tomorrow night. It's like you want him to fail. I'm not accusing.
Funny thing is, the Browns haven't sniffed a real Lombardi trophy outside of a museum exhibit. If they're gonna run with this fake injury script, at least put some effort into it. Give us crutches, slap on a walking boot, throw a doctor in front of some cameras. Instead, we're stuck with these vague day-to-day updates that read like somebody shook a magic 8-ball and called it medical advice. And every time another empty statement drops, you can practically hear Denzel in the background, smirking, day-to-day with what? A bruised ego? The man doesn't even have to raise his voice. Just that one-liner alone cuts deeper than anything the Browns front office could spin.
Yeah, there are more people. No, there are more Shedeur haters than there are Dylan Gabriel.
So listen, I've
haters.
seen a lot of Shedeur haters, obviously.
They found you?
Yeah, they didn't take them long.
What makes it all even funnier is how predictable it is. Cleveland finally has a player with undeniable star power, and instead of building around him, they yank him at the first sign of pushback. It's like this team is allergic to winning.
I'm looking at the average time to throw for a quarterback last year in the National Football League. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was like at 2.42 to 3.14 seconds, if I remember correctly, based on what I read.
Sure.
The average time that Shedeur Sanders had to throw the other night was 3.48 seconds. And the reality is that in the National Football League, you know this better than me, Shefty. Obviously, you do too, D.O. You ain't gonna get that much time to throw. So I'm saying, again, the one story is that he's earned the right for further looks with the first, second unit as opposed to the third unit. You are right about that. All I'm saying is, as enthusiastic as I am about him, let's be cautiously enthusiastic from the standpoint that you're going up against the Carolina Panthers and you had a year and a day to throw the football.
And while the haters are out here hyping this up like some 4D master plan, everyone else can see it for what it is. A slow-motion train wreck you can't look away from. Denzel, though, he's amused, but in that dangerous way. His roasts don't just sting, they leave scars. He's got that delivery where a single sentence makes you question your entire career path. And when it comes to the Browns front office, he's basically showing the world how they could take a generational quarterback and reduce him to a forgotten footnote faster than you can even say quarterback controversy.
I said it's a circus. And people were like, why do you say he's a circus? He's a good player. I didn't say he's not a good player. I didn't say he's a bad player. I said your starting quarterback has to be the guy. The cameras, the lights, the action, the locker room, everybody wants that guy in the locker room with the mouthpiece in, lining up on Sundays. And if you don't, and you got a guy like Shedeur Sanders, who's in the backup position, 4th on the depth chart, and they're like, we're here to see Shedeur Sanders. Right? The media's in the locker room bypassing all the quarterbacks. They walk right past Kenny Pickett, didn't even know he was even in there. Right? Walk right past Dylan Gabriel, probably didn't even see him, little. Sees Joe Flacco, goes, holy shit, Joe Flacco looks like he should be in the NBA. And then they get ready to.
This is the same franchise that's turned more promising careers into cautionary tales than just about anybody else in the league. The shadow haters thought they had their moment. They crawled out the woodwork loud and messy, celebrating like they'd actually accomplished something. But here's the truth. The NFL loves a good comeback, and Shedeur Sanders is built for one. He's not the type to fold under some manufactured drama. He knows his worth. He knows what he brings every snap, and he knows the sweetest revenge is making the haters watch him win. That's why Denzel keeps hammering it home, loudly, repeatedly. This little setback ain't the end of the story. Nah, this is the exact chapter where the plot gets interesting. The Browns swear they're playing chess, but the board looks more like a busted game of checkers with half the pieces missing. And those haters? They're strutting like they've pulled off some kind of moral victory. But really, they've just set themselves up for the most awkward Monday morning of the season.
Because Tony Grossi, the reporter, and Shedeur Sanders and their confrontation has spurred all of this controversy.
Because when Shadow steps back on that field and starts dropping dimes like he never left, every critic's hot take is gonna age like milk. Shadow's story ain't ending here. It's leveling up. This is the setup for the kind of comeback that forces both the Browns and the haters to scramble for excuses they'll never find. And if there's one thing the NFL does on repeat, it's watch the same people who doubted a player suddenly scramble onto the bandwagon once he proves them dead wrong. And when that switch happens, don't expect Denzel to let anyone off the hook. He's been front row the whole time, watching the Browns sabotage their own future and watching haters choke on their bad takes. When Shadow is back under center, making the throws they swore he couldn't, Denzel will be right there reminding everybody this was never about an injury. It was about underestimating the wrong man. But somehow the Browns still want folks to buy this business as usual script. Like the N.F.L is supposed to just nod and accept the lie. Not this time. The league has seen players take hits harder than their paychecks and still lace up the next week. But Shadow gets sidelined like he's made of glass?
Even if he goes 19-20 for 300 yards in this game and tears it up, Kevin Stefanski is still going to have to stand in front of the podium and then justify why based on what they've seen at practice. And every report we've had out of practice is that he's not ready. Stefanski's then going to have to calm down the fan base, and they're not going to believe him because they don't see the practices and they just saw the game. That's why this just feels awkward. Like, it's nobody's fault.
Yeah.
They don't have a better situation. I genuinely believe if you are a fan of Shedeur Sanders and you're a fan of the Cleveland Browns, I think him having to play in this game actually.
Come on. All Denzel's got to do is hit that signature pause before a punchline, and suddenly every armchair quarterback in Cleveland feels like they just got called out by their own disappointed uncle. You've got Browns fans acting like Shadow owes them something, like he hasn't been carrying this team's relevance on his back, while half the roster treats the playbook like it's extra credit. They love to scream loyalty from the bleachers, but when it's their turn to show loyalty to the one guy actually giving them a shot at winning, silence. And here's Denzel, shaking his head slow, like he's watching a kid lie about eating cookies before dinner. It's always the same tired crowd.
With an oblique injury, Shedeur suffered the oblique injury during the throwing drill early in the Browns' joint practice against the Eagles. Ocho, how concerned are you about Shedeur rise to be QB1 if he doesn't play on Saturday?
I'm not concerned at all. I'm not concerned at all. For one, he's not going to be quarterback one. We know Joe Flacco is going to be the starting quarterback week 1 against the Bengals when they do play. So I'm really not worried about that. I really don't have any concern because now come Saturday when they do play, if I'm not mistaken, Dylan Gabriel, and I'm not sure if Kenny Pickett is playing, now they get an opportunity to show, what they can do. We've seen the small sample size of Shedeur Sanders with the ones for a short period of time, the 2s, the 3s, and the 4s. So
This is the same franchise that's drafted quarterbacks, like they were collecting stamps, just hoping one would magically turn into Tom Brady overnight. Now they finally land somebody with real juice, and suddenly they're tiptoeing around like a grandma on black ice. It's not strategy, it's a circus. Meanwhile, Shadow's haters are crawling out like termites, gnawing at any scrap of bad news they can find. Missed practice? Proof he's not committed. Wearing sunglasses indoors? Proof he's distracted. Smiling during rehab? Proof he's not taking recovery seriously. The reach is insane. And that's when Denzel steps right in, dismantling all that noise like it's a script he's been perfecting for years. He leans in with that razor-sharp delivery and basically says, "So let me get this straight. You want him to be miserable while getting better?" Then he hits the final blow. The only thing that matters is winning, and Shadow wins. That's what eats at them the most. They can't stand watching somebody shine without their stamp of approval. So they scramble to rewrite the story, twist the narrative, and spin excuses. But every time they do, Denzel's right there, arms folded, eyebrow raised, letting them know they've just embarrassed themselves in front of everybody. And let's break down this injury timing. It's almost too perfect. The Browns get to dodge the storm of benching their best player while slipping in a ready-made excuse if things collapse. If they lose, well, we didn't have Shadow. If they win, suddenly the front office looks like masterminds who managed the roster brilliantly. Please, that's not football, that's politics and shoulder pads. And Denzel calls it exactly that, but with way more flavor than the Browns' dry PR spin could ever dream of.
What is this week's hot take?
None other than the main man, Shedeur Sanders, as he got off to a hot start or overhyped. Shedeur Sanders jumped out and had an amazing performance against the Carolina Panthers, completing 14 passes out of 23 attempts for 132 yards, 2 touchdowns.
The N.F.L. loves to pretend it's all about merit, grit, and performance. But anyone who's been paying attention knows the truth. It's about egos, it's about money, and it's about protecting reputations behind the curtain. And instead of building around their one real shot at a franchise savior, the Browns are sidelining him like he's just another disposable experiment. That's also where the haters show their true colors. They're not offering criticism to help. They're desperate to confirm their own weak narratives. They don't want Shadow to rise. They want him to stumble, just so they can scream, "See, we were right. That's not fandom. That's insecurity in a jersey." And Denzel? He doesn't let that slide. He'll lean in, lower his voice, and slice them open with a single truth. Rooting against a player just to protect your fragile ego is the most pathetic kind of fandom there is. Every week, Shadow sits out is another week the Browns prove Denzel right. The backups will stumble, the offense will stall, and the same fans who trash Shadow will suddenly start asking when their QB1 is coming back. That's the real irony. His absence only makes him harder to criticize. Once the team starts missing his arm, his leadership, and his ability to make plays under pressure, the haters won't have much left to say besides a weak, well, maybe he's not so bad. But Denzel? Oh, he'll remember every single word they said, and he's got the receipts. See, this isn't just about one player. It's about a franchise that's been chasing stability for decades, finally finding a glimpse of it, and still finding a way to trip over its own shoelaces. It's about a fan base so conditioned to heartbreak that they'll turn on their best hope before realizing what they're throwing away. And it's about a league that thrives on drama more than it cares about fairness. When Shadow comes back, and make no mistake, he will. It won't be some quiet jog back onto the field. Nah, it's gonna be a full-on statement, a reminder that real talent doesn't stay sidelined forever, that winning kills more arguments than any carefully worded press release, and that the haters, they're always loudest right before they get proven dead wrong. And when that moment comes, don't think for a second that Denzel's gonna let them sneak off quietly. No way. He'll be standing right there, calm, sharp, locked in, reminding everybody how quick they were to write Shadow off over a conveniently timed injury. He'll be the voice in their head every single time Shadow launches a touchdown, every time he engineers a comeback, every time the Browns are forced to admit the best quarterback they've had in years was sitting on their own roster the whole time. Because in the end, this story isn't just about football. It's about pride, it's about respect, and it's about knowing when you've got someone who can actually change your future. The Browns might not see it yet, but Shadow is about to make sure they learn the hard way. And Denzel Washington? He'll be right there, front row, with that knowing grin, ready to drop the final line. And before you bounce, don't forget, hit that subscribe, smash the like, drop a comment, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. See you on the next one.